to get those lower abs activated, you might want to have a squishy ball or a yoga block nearby that you can put between your knees. And you also might want to have a small towel that you can roll up and just place in your low back. So starting on the floor, get yourself comfortable, make sure your head can rest easy on the floor. And if you feel like you're getting a bit of pulling back on your neck, just roll up a towel and put that under your neck as well. So you just want to be really comfortable through your shoulders. Now if you feel like you want that support in your low back, you can put your towel there. So just kind of along your pants line. And then you're going to start with your hands on your low abdomen, so right between your hip bones. So the tissue here is soft and squishy. I'm not trying to hold any tension. I'm not trying to hold a pelvic floor contraction. I'm just letting everything go. So my feet are flat on the floor, just relaxing my legs, and I'm trying to feel heavy through my hips, allowing them to sort of sink and melt down into the floor. And then I want to do the same thing with my rib cage. I'm just trying to let it just be heavy on the floor and relaxing down. If you notice your ribs are really poking up and you can get your hands right under like this, you may just need to take a big exhale and try to settle them back on the floor. So again, try not to hold a huge amount of tension through your core, trying to let everything go, especially up here in these upper abs. So we want to be nice and squishy through here. And today we're just focusing on this area right down low in these deep core muscles. So I'm going to take my fingers and I'm just going to place them just inside the bony bits of my hips and feel that soft tissue there. I'm going to practice taking a big inhale and letting that pressure push all the way down into the pelvic floor. So inhale through the nose. And on the exhale, I'm going to imagine that this breath is starting from my pelvic floor. So I'm going to do a small pelvic floor contraction. Then as I come to my hip bones, I'm imagining that they're drawing in towards each other. And then that contraction is like a wave coming through up to my rib cage. So at the bottom of that exhale, I'm really trying to get all of the air out. So I'm going to keep going until it feels like there is no air left in my body. So my lungs are ringed out, all that stale air is out, and I've got those deep core muscles coming on. So you should feel now at the bottom of that exhale that you've got tension under those fingers. And even if you can't necessarily feel that there's the deep abs coming on, like you can feel when you do a crunch, that burning sensation, you should just be able to feel that there's tension there underneath the fingers. Now, if you cannot feel the tension and you're struggling to get that activation, it may be because of the position of your pelvis. So if you're really tucking under and squeezing your butt cheeks, you may be causing the contraction to all happen through the glutes and the hammies as you're squeezing or into the hip flexors. So if I do this and I'm tucking under and I try to take a good exhale, I can really feel it here, but not so much in my deep core. So that's where it can be really helpful to have the towel and get that underneath your low back. And so it's just the top of your sacrum. So then I get just a very tiny tilt forward with my hips, and I can allow my glutes to really let go. And I'm thinking about soft hip flexors. So if I feel in here, they're nice and soft. There's no tension here. Now, try that breath again. Taking a nice long inhale through the nose. And on the exhale, make like a ha sound. So you're going still nice and soft through the hip flexors. Glutes are not coming on. And you're just thinking of that pelvic floor contraction and the hip bones drawing in. Keep going until all the air is out. And so I feel a nice little burn now in those deep core muscles coming all the way through, and my rib cage is just gently coming back towards the floor. So I'm not trying to crunch in right here in the upper abs. I'm trying to keep this contraction just down low. So I can even feel, if I've got this activated, this is still a bit squishy. I'm not using this part of my abdomen to get this contraction. I'm not using my hip flexors, I'm not using my glutes. So again, inhale, holding just a tiny bit of tension through those deep core muscles. Allow that pressure of the inhale to push down into the pelvic floor. And on the exhale, keeping everything soft through the hip flexors, through the glutes. Let those hip bones draw together with that pelvic floor contraction. Rib cage gently coming down to the floor. Okay. So this is what I want you to work on, is just relaxing everything through the hips, letting the hip flexors go, letting the glutes go, trying not to clench up here in these upper abs, and just keeping the focus on this triangle between the hip bones. If you have the towel, you can feel that slight anterior tilt, your glutes are relaxed and your hip flexors are relaxed, but you're still struggling to feel that. That's where you might want to add a ball. So you would put that between your knees. So you can use that as a little bit of feedback. When your adductors come on when you squeeze the ball, they directly feed into your pelvic floor or connect with your pelvic floor. And so they can help get that pelvic floor contraction to come on and those deep core muscles to activate a little bit better. Then on the exhale, you could start that, squeezing the ball, then getting the pelvic floor to come on at the same time, then through those deep core muscles. And so with a little bit of squeeze there, you might be able to feel that a bit better. The only thing to look out for is are you using the hip flexors to squeeze, or can you use the adductors? So play around with the position of your feet. Make sure they're not too far away or too close that you're up on your toes or anything. Position your feet comfortably on the floor so that when you squeeze, you're using the adductors. So you can kind of feel in there, oh yeah, they're turning on, or actually no, I can't feel them at all. So just paying attention to that. Again, check your hip flexors, check your glutes, big inhale, squeeze the ball, pelvic floor on, hip bones drawing close together, and then that wave of contraction through to the rib cage. So what I want you to try to avoid is this cinching right here at the belly button. So that looks like this. Big inhale. And I'm pulling my belly button in and then inadvertently pushing pressure down. And I can't get these low abs to activate because I'm just pulling in at the belly button. So breathing in. Exhaling right in the middle. And the pressure kind of pushes down. But we want to have this expansion under the hands as you inhale down, pressure from the diaphragm pushing everything down into the pelvic floor. So hands are lifting slightly, and then from the bottom up, everything's sinking under my hands through these deep core muscles. But I'm not clenching these upper abs too much, keeping them a little bit off so I can just focus low down in these deep core muscles. Okay, so once you feel like you've got that down and you can feel those deep core muscles coming on, then you can start practicing putting the feet up on a wall and practicing dragging down, getting the hamstrings on a little bit while maintaining this open position with the sit bones. So I'm then not going like this and tucking everything under and losing this connection. I'm still trying to stay just very slightly tilted forward so that I can access those deep core muscles. And it's easier to do that when the pelvis is very slightly tilted forward, as opposed to like this. It's much harder to get that front pelvic floor to switch on. It's more going to come from the back. So keep the glutes relaxed. Think more hamstrings here. Just gently pulling down on the heels on the wall. So here is engaged, here is still relatively soft. And I'm still keeping my hip flexors soft. So then when I take an inhale in this position, I'm really trying to let that pressure push down to the pelvic floor, into the back of the pelvic floor. And from the exhale, from the bottom up, front of the pelvic floor. So think right behind your bladder. Coming through like a wave to the rib cage as the rib cage gently melts down to the floor. And so just remember, every time you do this, try not to tuck and cinch at the belly button. You're just trying to maintain this equal compression back towards the floor. Once you feel like you've got that one down, then you can start adding movements where you're practicing lifting one leg at a time to get a stronger contraction through the deep core, right down low. So if I was going to practice this, I would take a big inhale down, still remembering everything is soft, hip flexors are soft. Inhale down into the pelvic floor. Exhale from the bottom up. Then I'm going to practice lifting up one leg. Taking an inhale in this position, and then as I lower it down, I'm going to do that exhale from the bottom up. So the hip flexor will come on a little bit here, but you're still trying to keep that hip flexor out of the equation as much as possible and trying to keep this as the main acting muscle. So it looks like this. Inhale up. Exhale from the bottom up. Feel those tissues moving away from your hand. And so my hip flexor is on, but it's not doing all the work. It's still coming from here. Inhale up. Exhale. Lowering that leg down. And so you don't want to have your legs coming too far away from you at the start. Keep them quite close. So if I'm here at this 90-degree angle, I'm trying to drop my foot straight back down to the floor. And so I'm not going too far because I don't want to have the hip flexors take over. So you can practice that. Inhale up. Exhale. You're getting a bit of length on those abdominal muscles, which means they have to work under tension. So you should be able to feel them a little bit more. Exhaling down, and just really pay attention to that movement under your hands. Is it bulging up? So do I go bulge up, or can I get the exhale, tissue coming away from my hands? And remember that connection between the bottom of the rib cage and the pelvis, and those deep internal obliques are pulling the rib cage down and back and down towards my pelvis. So when I do this, I don't want to go and lift up here. Okay, so the back stays in that neutral position. Inhale down. Exhale up. Okay.